You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
Well, here we go again. And, I do salute Jack's defense of his church. Don't get me wrong. But we are, and he would agree with me if he knew me and we would sit down and speak. We are required to speak the truth, what truth we know, at the level that we're required to speak that. And the Bible says if we are given something at a certain level, we're to use it. But again, it may have nothing to do with Jack being an FBI agent. But remember, the FBI is causing us to be unsafe, has caused mass shooters before, has caused terrorism before. Don't just think about the case you know about, because the way law enforcement works, if you find a percentage of that crime, the totality of the crime is actually going on. So whatever you find is only a percentage of that crime. And the truth is the totality, whatever that is. And within an organization such as the DOJ or FBI or DHS, you're not going to find as many crimes as you would within the life of an average citizen, not because they don't exist, because it's spycraft, effectuation of criminal activity, as well as spycraft suppression of the information. So again, as far as being transformed into an angel of light, again, Jack may be innocent. Jack might be asleep. Jack may not know anything about being awakened for real. I'm not speaking about some chump change awoke. Speaking about the awakening that is spoken about in many scriptures throughout the ages. But is it no wonder that the FBI would be transformed into an angel of light in that episode? Again, this is the way Satan works, so that we would be afraid to say it. Because why? Because Jack saved lives. And I've said that before. Jack didn't only save lives in that church. Jack saved lives outside that church if the shooter would have been able to move forward outside of that church. Because history tells us once somebody's that far gone, they generally will keep going until meeting some sort of demise. And I'm not speaking about your standard shooter. We've seen in history shooters shoot a cop, they go into hiding, and then turn themselves in. Some do keep going until they're neutralized. So that would be something that's an increase, actually, recent times, where because most people that shoot police officers are just wondering how to stay alive once they shoot the police officer, unless they're, again, too far gone. So again, Satan will put things out there to confuse us. And Satan will mirror what I say within evil people to try to discredit what I say. But there are those that would use that. You see, that would be evil to use that. And there are those that would cause that, where they would cause it. So again, they're moving the same as Satan. For a seer such as myself, it's like, okay, I can't do an investigation here, but I know Satan does that, and I know the deep state does that. It's one or both, but it's always Satan moving those operations. There was something I wanted to say on top of that, and I didn't want to lose it. I'm going to have to start taking notes, I guess. I'm putting my notes up. I used to record it in my phone recorder and then reduce it to an outline. When I was out shopping, I would record some things that I wanted to speak about later. Or record. I used to just record it and keep it. Now I record it and broadcast it, or just broadcast it. So again, it is very important to understand what is required of you under the dispensation of Christ. And since I awoke, I was Jesus. He moved my hand so I would knock. Jesus is standing at the door knocking for some of you. Time to answer it and answer the call. It needs to get to the president. The truth of what's going on needs to get to the president. And Jesus is knocking. He wants that information presented to the president. That's why, sometimes it's them and sometimes it's Jesus. Jesus was blanking my mind with the desire for me to hear him. And anything Jesus blanks my mind from will come back over time, so I'm not so concerned. So again, it's coming back. When you're given much, I can see it. I know when you're given much, but that's because God's telling me and showing me. So the basic idea since I woke up was saying, hey, look at their lives. Even if they're a billionaire, does it look like it's manifesting? See, give yourself over to the truth instead of classism and groupthink. And it's every political party, so don't play politics. And I understand politics is required to get the president elected. And I understand the president did certain things to get elected the first time and has to do certain things this time. But we have to stay focused within our heart. So I have to say certain things. Give yourself over to the truth. Realize that people are being victimized by something. And that something is Satan. But yet there are workers of iniquity on our planet. It doesn't mean that they're basic sinners. What's happening is everybody's being focused on basic sin. Now, look at Trey Gowdy. He's working for the deep state. They have restrictions on the president from speaking about certain things. Now, they would say it's not the deep state because it's doing something different, but it's not. If they really believe that, then they're deceiving themselves. They've shown that they've been given much and that they're intelligent people. I'm speaking about Trey Gowdy and Lindsey Graham, as well as some of the others. You've been given much. Much is expected. Trey Gowdy is defending the deep state. Lindsey Graham is defending the deep state. Remember, in spycraft operations, they have to be your best friend to take you down. They did it in my workplace, but first they isolate you. They isolated the president. Now, the president brought some of those people back. However, they took people out because the FBI wouldn't clear them. So the FBI was busy isolating the president so they can insert the deep people. And then they would be his best friend. And of course, many of them have turned on him. Now, if you Hey Larry me, yes, I supported the people the president appointed, even though I thought they were the wrong people for the job. So again, it's not politics for me, it's biblical. I saluted their house. They were in place. I saluted their house and tried to help them. But at a given point, I have to shake the dust off from my feet. But along with that, I'm a watcher, and I have to speak about it. Because what happens, and this is not why I do it because I love God. Because I don't understand the other parts. There's parts of the Bible I don't understand because I do it because I love God, and things happen to me because I love God. And yes, I'm a sinner because I don't want you to think that I'm holier than thou like everyone else. But I don't understand that I would do something because of a punitive thing. I really don't understand that. I do things because I love God. Now, I'm going to skip ahead real quick here because I don't want to lose this thought. Trying to put it as nicely as I can. In your churches, you're being inundated with classism, with groupthink. And I know there's a lot of people outside the church because of that. I've already spoken with them. They don't necessarily say it that way, but it is that thing. It's time to get forward of it. Some people would call it politics, but it's not. It's what Paul warned against and what Jesus railed against. You're offending others and causing them to fall. Try to think of a different topic. Try to think of LGBTQ people being harmed and being victims of Satan. Now, there are those that work with Satan against you. But let's get back to that. Get away from the deep state mindset. You should, as a Christian, believe that nobody should die. You should believe that everybody should have everlasting life and that death is a sin. I'm not political on this, I'm biblical. Politically, I would have said yes to the death penalty. But once I am in touch with the spiritual side of it, it's a sin. The death penalty is a sin. It doesn't have deterrence. Because people that will normally get that death sentence are possessed. And there's nothing that's going to stop them but healing. So in your churches, realize that you're being possessed into groupthink. When you read the Bible, you only see what they want you to see instead of what you should see. Now, I'm going to break for a second here, and I'll be back. I'm not ending the show. I have something I have to do for like a second.
You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.
Radio Free Larry.
You have to get back to the idea that you're not from this place and that you're a pilgrim. Even in your church is a physical place. It's not the spiritual side of the world. And in some places, it's even more materialistic than some materialistic parts of the world. So again, that's where the biggest disconnect took place. There's no hate to use the term, but sanctuary in a church for real Christians because the government will be hunting them down, irregardless as to why they say they're in there or even why they're in there. Satan directs things so that everything looks like angels of light coming to rescue you. And so does the deep state. So when I was in government, they had to isolate me and bring friends in around me. That's why I was having trouble thinking. They didn't want that spoken. There were people I was working with that I was required to be with. And no, it wasn't an undercover investigation in reality. And what I got to do is I got to go eat, or I'm going to keep messing up here. Does physical eating empower me? Yes. Does it empower me spiritually, not physically? Yes, it empowers me spiritually because somebody uttered something about me and what I'm speaking about many years ago that causes physical things to cover over their spiritual curses. In other words, it's something physical. It's not something spiritual. So when I eat, even though I know it's causing it, it's all going to go away. So again, I spoke about the physical triggers not really being physical, but yet it's from spiritual utterings. So I'm going to have to get to that. But they replaced all my friends with their criminal and corrupt cronies. And they've done that for decades. I haven't lived a real life in decades upon decades. And I mean, even physically real. They're orchestrating everything. I'm not the only person. Don't let them tell you that. And praise God in all that you do. Praise God.
You are listening to the Law Enforcement Pirate Radio Network. Radio Free Larry, presiding.
You can run, but you can't hide.